Part of being the overcomer, right?
Yeah, it's part of being it. Absolutely.
All right. It looks like we're live, and I
All
am
right.
excited here to be having a special guest, Mr. Carl Shawn Watkins. And this is episode 4 for any of you people that have missed the first couple episodes. And I'm really excited to have you on, Carl. For those of you that don't know, the first LinkedIn Live I did was on your show. And it was truly an honor and a privilege to, be on your show. So when I started my own, I thought I got to get this man on here and definitely share his story out to the masses. So why don't you tell our guests a little bit about your story, and we'll go from there.
Great. I'm Carl Sean Watkins. As you guys know, well, maybe you don't know because I'm introducing myself to a new audience. I've been on LinkedIn now since about 2008. Just recently began a new company, Carl Sean Watkins Consulting LLC, where I do leadership and business culture consulting with mid-level professionals and business owners and business professionals. Try to get them to understand the relationship between vulnerability and leadership and that kind of whole engagement thing of where that's also statistically shown where it's been a growth in your business. And I started on LinkedIn with a story of just writing and posting. That was it was kind of a way of alleviating some ideas that I had and some things and some topics I wanted to discuss. And the pandemic gave us a great opportunity for that to come about. With a lot of time on our hands, such as the travel time and going back and forth, you know, having where to go to. A lot of things was closed down. So I just started back up my writing, which something I've been doing. And a lot of that had been suppressed I'm a survivor of abuse, addiction, and depression. So a lot of things that I was dealing with had never really came to grips with in the essence of that church wise did a lot, but conversating about it and helping others to overcome where I had came from. It's kind of like became my passion, and it was something that drove me. So I said, "There's others out here that's dealing with some of the same things I have as an adult." Through some rough relationships, not understanding the dynamic of everything because you never talked about those traumas. You never discussed those. You never went for professional help, let alone any other kind of help. And you definitely was not explaining those things to your colleagues or the people that you worked with or the people that even looked up to you. The shame with that was just so overwhelming at times. You just as most people did, just mashed it down on the inside and decided not to deal with it. But the pandemic came and I came on and I start sharing a few things, a little bit here, a little bit of there, and I started getting a following of people that understood. It wasn't so much as saying things on the post at first. It wasn't so much as likes and those kind of things, but it was the DM personal messages like, "Yo, you strong for saying that," or "Yo, I can really dig where you coming from that," or "I really understand that. How did you get to this point where you can discuss those things and talk about it?" And at that point, I just kind of feel that there was a need for what I was doing. People needed to be vulnerable and they needed to be in a safe spot too, not so much as to pile on, but people just needed to be in a spot where they were okay with sharing some of the things that have really like kept them from achieving. Like when you look at these traumas, they really have stopped your growth, whether it's just mentally, your capacity to do things, fear that's never overcome. You never know what you're going to be until you unleash that. And that's what I go about doing.
That's awesome. And
Yes.
kudos to you, because I know um, society has deemed that a man talking about his feelings is taboo. So I give you like
Oh,
applause here
thank you.
for sharing your story and getting that out and helping others, especially men. Like so often you hear men shouldn't have emotion, and men shouldn't show their emotions, and men shouldn't talk about abuse and things like that. But it's very eye opening and very humbling to hear you share your story. So I want to thank you for that.
Yeah, excuse me. It comes just from the dynamic of how you're raised. That really plays a pivotal point into how you carry out things in your life as an adult. And I think people know that, they understand that, but they don't deal with that. and those are the dynamic that really cause you to be in relationships. It cause you to not have effective relationships. It cause kinks in communication. It cause those kind of things that you continue to be like a hamster in a wheel, and you're constantly running over these same patterns over and over again. And a lot of times it's because you have not, excuse me, identified the whys to the pattern. And why am I thinking this way? Why is this is always my go-to when things get tight? Why, when things get pressurized, I tend to not communicate? Why, we never analyze these things within ourselves. So, with that being the case, it drives a lot of things on the outward, which means you don't communicate well with your significant other. You have relationship problems at work. You can't get along with the supervisor. Those kind of things tend to mediate your life at that point. So with that aspect of it, you don't talk it through, you don't work it through, and you're fearful of even talking about those things.
That is totally true. Totally true. So with that, you tell us a little bit more about your consulting and your coaching that you're doing to help mentor other men. To share their vulnerabilities as well.
Well, the key part about the vulnerability and what I really want to make sure that everyone is aware of, it's not a vulnerability of we're having a pity party. It's a vulnerability of understanding that through your vulnerability there are flaws, and us as connection as human and humanity. It's a process that I can see what's wrong with you if you're vulnerable enough to show me. Therein lies you knows that you can get help with what you're going through. And a lot of time people build up walls around that vulnerability because people kind of target that to hurt and harm. But the big aspect about that, it's sort of like going to the doctor and you're sick, but you don't tell him what's wrong. You just go to the appointment and you just sit in there and you look at him and he look at you. But there's no communication as to telling the doctor what is wrong so that he can try to give you a diagnosis or even try to give you a solution to it. And that's what I do with the in the business of consulting and doing the vulnerability part about it is building a culture of conversation and relationship. A lot of times you're on these jobs and you're in these positions where there are managers and business owners and operators, and then there's this big disconnect, which is normally the lack of communication and the lack of vulnerability. Because if you're on an operator, you think that it's taboo to show that you don't know anything to an employee, which is quite the opposite. In the essence of you showing the employee that you don't know actually may strengthen that employee to come up to the mark of things that they do know to help you kind of build that divide. And I think when we get into an aspect of understanding that with those that we have working with us, we'll see that being vulnerable in some spots and being strategically vulnerable, knowing how to use your vulnerability in areas and spaces that will be a correlation to you growing, your business growing, you growing as leaders, your management team growing, and just overall everyone taking on the responsibility of building up that business.
Right. And that is so true. Like in the workplace, I've worked in several different workplaces where it takes a lot. At work, I'm totally different than when I'm at home, and it takes a lot for me to get to that point where, like, I'm so mad I start to cry. But there has been those
Right.
moments in the workplace that I get to that because it's very frustrating that in some areas, like it's male dominated, where everything is, well, the man knows best on different things, and men are higher paid. Men and women can have the same position. And hey, Jenny, and shout out to Tim for getting people over here and helping me redirect people over to YouTube with the technical difficulties I've been having tonight. So I really have to send
Shout out to Tim.
something out. Yes, I'm going to send Tim something from Canada, especially once I can get into a store again after we're done lockdown for the fourth time. And
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah.
But as I was saying, it's very frustrating, and as soon as you start showing emotion as a woman, it's just like, oh, don't cry. Oh my God, don't cry. Don't do that. Like, I remember in December, we had, my dad was diagnosed with cancer for the second time, and work was just, we were getting ready for pre-audit and everything like that. So work was stressful. And and Carl too. Carl from Carl Sullivan, he's there too.
Yes.
And so, you know, it was just emotional. And at one point, like, we were being told so many different things with my dad, and that the work was piling up. So I just busted out crying, and I was dealing with a male employee that I had asked for 2 years to get him help, because he was just falling behind, and still no help. And I was going to my boss daily, like, this guy's not doing his job. I'm getting yelled at by our vendors. I'm surprised we even have vendors left, and nothing was getting done, or it didn't seem like anything was getting done. And, you know, so then I lost it. I like started bawling in my boss's office, and he goes, "Oh my God, don't cry. And whatever you do, don't go crying when you go talk to the vice president." I'm like, I can't help it right now. Right. So as women sharing vulnerability in a workplace, it's definitely, you know, I don't know. I guess depends on who you're talking to, but it's hard to do that. Like, it's hard to show that. And as a man, I can't imagine, because as a woman, you get, "Oh my God, don't cry." But
it's delicate, definitely delicate on the women's side, but it's because not so much as that what the woman is, but the men in the workplace doesn't set the atmosphere as such. And when I say set the atmosphere, it's all about the culture of what is okay to see and what is okay to take place. And oftentimes they're pushed into the corner where it's either lashing out lashing out at the issue, or breaking down. And what you just mentioned was the actual breaking down of it. But the culture that we build as men in charge gives women a leeway to kind of be there in that safety kind of zone. And when I mean that, sometimes the stresses of jobs and the stresses of things that we deal with, men internalize. Some women internalize too, but most women internalize, and then the pressure erupts, because at some point in time, they're going to let it out. And 9 times out of 10, if not 10 out of 10, it's not going to be good. But when you have the culture in place that allows them to have those areas and those particulars of which this is okay to be, because I've worked with women before, and the job has gotten so intense that they start crying, and not all of it is from a place of sadness. It's just emotional pitch that's put on them. Not only that, from the basis of what they're in, who they are, what they're responsible for, and the job that they're doing. So it can get heavy, and most of the times I have seen men as well. They will not admit it, but I've seen some men get real frazzled, throw things against the wall, upset, throw a temper tantrum. But that's because the culture is not in place for them to go exhale. Let's revamp. Let's look at this situation, reevaluate it, and see where we can go from there. Everything is like it's a shutdown mode. Okay, if it's not going right, I'm not saying that, you're not saying that. Everybody's tight. Everybody's on eggshells. And that's what's really being the demise in the workplace right about now.
That's totally true. And and I guess maybe this pandemic has changed a lot of things, and I think this pandemic has changed a lot of things positively, and some people don't see that. And so I'm just going to go to Tim's comment here. Yes, men have feelings too, now more than ever, in the midst of the pandemic. That's just what I was leading into. And I think that, I worked in a place where working from home was just not ever allowed. And then when the pandemic hit, we were, everybody that can get a computer and get out of here. And now I think more and more employees or employers are saying, hey, people can work from home effectively, and it's definitely working. So I hope, especially as a stepmom that has responsibilities as well, that this will prove that we could work from home more and have that and create a culture of caring. Because if nothing else, I'm the type of person in the office, I'll go around and ask how everybody is. And I'm like, as soon as somebody starts, I'm over there shaking their hand. And it's funny because when the pandemic first hit, one of the business analyst had just started, and my automatic to put my hand out, and the guy that was going around said, "Oh, you really want to shake hands now?" I'm like, I didn't even occur to me that pandemic just hit. You're not supposed to touch people,
Yeah.
have the mask on, things like that. But I think this is for some of us, anyways, allowing different relationships to be built where they weren't being built before. And I'm hoping that the wave of the future is definitely to, put those, like you were talking about, put those things in place so that their vulnerability is there, and and people are allowed to talk about things instead of just putting them under the rug.
And I think it is. We're getting to a place, even with the Zoom and the work from home, you have to now companies that have to incorporate in that kind of atmosphere. Because I've been on Zoom calls with other ones at work and doing different kind of things, or constructing business, or talking to clients in the essence of that. And they're probably holding a baby, or you hear the noise of the child in the background banging on pots and pans. These are some of the aspects of things that has really pivoted over the course of this. We're into it about a year and a half now, the pandemic and this kind of new dynamic of working from home, and it's hitting everybody at every level. So if you're not working from home, if you're working from home, you have a toddler, or they're in school. And I've been to some meetings where moms have been sharing the dining room table with the kids while they're being homeschooled. So this is a dynamic that companies are have to go on to take into consideration. I saw a lot of movement on that. With Google and certain big name businesses are saying that it wasn't driving people to come back to work. They was going to let you work from home and incorporate that. I've even seen some companies go to when things go back, they're going to go to a 4-day 10, where you can kind of like work some at home and some in the office, and kind of finish up and have long weekends. I mean, they're going to fix this dynamic to a place, because it's been already statistically shown that people are doing work at home. It's not the old adage of, oh man, if you work from home, are they really going to be doing work? Where you can see from across the board, from everything except for essential workers, people that's working from home, from the point of being at home, or homeschool is suffering, but at home work has been, the productivity has been up. And every study and every place that I've seen with companies have been to the rise way more than when they opted out to kind of do those things as kind of like a precursor before the pandemic. So people are getting their work done. They're working longer. I come to find myself, without having to go anywhere, I'm actually maybe for to my detriment, so to speak, but in the essence, I'm working longer because I'm comfortable in the aspect of working. It's okay to be in those things. You have to caution yourself on to make self care time, but you're feeling comfortable with doing things because things are in your environment.
Yeah.
I know everybody don't like it. There's a lot of people. I'm a social person, or I can be introverted. It don't matter. I can go whichever. I'm adaptable. I can see people and socialize and love being at the job, or I can work from home. I don't wear the flip flops anymore. I get fully dressed, so my attitude changes with that aspect. I don't sit around with the pajamas on and the hoodies,
Right.
because you can kind of get your mindset into that. But either way that it goes, I think now it's going to be a change where, and in this is being shown vulnerability, and this is why I'm key targeting on it. Because if you don't catch up with this, you're going to be left behind. We already see how people was left behind without having any marketing strategies, any websites, any digital marketing, those kind of things. And you see in the stores closing, so they had to rush to try to put things together to actually sell their products. It's going to be the same thing with this, because people have been at home. Their mindsets have changed to how they want to deal with things. Their mindsets have definitely changed on how they feel about dealing with things. People are not going to be taking things as they did before the pandemic. People has changed in their lives. It's countless signs of out here where people are hiring, but they're not going back to those jobs. They want to blame it on, the stimulus and what was given. But a lot of people are bettering themselves. They took this opportunity as a chance to say, you know what, that job I was doing 60-hour weeks, I really didn't like that job. Now I'm gonna go back to school. Now I'm gonna better myself. Now I'm gonna get into another career. Now I'm gonna start my own business. And this is what we've seen.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, it blows my mind that people are not using this time effectively, and they're scared. But again, not their fault, because media is pushing, you should be afraid, you should do this, or if you don't get the shot, then this is going to happen, or it doesn't matter what my opinion is of the shot or not. It's whatever is comfortable for that person. But
Mhm.
mainstream media has just like blown it so bad that everybody
Yeah.
that is not looking towards different solutions is just freaked out about it. And at the beginning of the pandemic, that's when I decided to write my book.
Yeah.
And then I wrote that book and I hurried up and got it out there. Now you say marketing has been writing the book was the easy part. It's the marketing and getting yourself out there
Yes.
because no one knows who Dorothy Graham Odell is from Windsor, Ontario. Nobody. Well, some people do now, but it's been like I've been
You
out
blowing
there.
up, Dorothy. You blowing up. You blowing up.
I've been out there busting my butt,
Mhm.
telling people who I am. And it's not easy as somebody who is, likes to rather be in the back corner. I observe people. I would
Mhm.
rather sit at the back of the room and observe people and watch. And I'll say to my husband, I bet you there's something going on over here. And like, I can read people really well. And he's just like,
Yeah.
oh my God. He goes, I can't believe you're even watching people. I'm like, but that's who I am. But then
Right.
also there's times that I like to get right in there and be the life of the party and like rev things up. It depends on my mood and it depends on the crowd and it depends on different people. Um, and Tim's like, you're busting your butt shows. You're working hard and doing a great job. Oh, thanks, Tim.
And that is what people are going to take away from this as well. People are now putting in the work for themselves, which has
Yes.
really been the big dynamic of this pandemic. People
Yeah.
are now seeing for themselves, say, yo, I can do this, where before they thought they were pinned in a corner or they didn't want to take the leap of faith to do it, with the fear of the structure of, okay, I got a 9 to 5. Most people don't. I got a home. I got a car. Those things are now, people are seeing the avenues were shut down. Things were shut down. A lot of people didn't even use their cars for the past year, because they had nowhere to go besides
Yeah.
maybe grocery stores or something like that. So
Yeah.
now people are getting it up here where, okay, what can I do to kind of better myself in a new arena? And I think this is where we headed at. And if companies doesn't, if they don't bridge the gap to that and kind of like do that renegotiation with the employee again, it's going to be a lot of brick and mortar that's going to be closed, and you're going to find about the workplace force is going to kind of flip. You're still going to need those essentials, but they're even hard to come back. They're even hard now. So many stores are offering so many things to get employees in, and they're still not coming in because people is pretty much satisfied with, yo, I'm gonna try some other things. I don't have to go work at the corner gas station, or I don't have to go work at the McDonald's, because now I can go back to school and maybe now I can learn something else, where I was fearful of before.
Yeah.
Now new avenues have opened up for them.
Well, and I think, okay, so I don't think just where I work it has this problem. I think people that
Mhm.
have companies where it's tier wages. So for the people that are obviously if you're in sales and you're in how I'm trying to define politically put this.
Yeah.
I'm not politically correct all the time. So for people that have specialized skills, there we go, specialized skills,
Great. Yes.
that have the higher paying jobs versus the
Hmm.
people that, are on the floor that are, okay, so I work for a greenhouse. And so we have people that are on the floor just packaging the tomatoes and the peppers and things like that, which obviously make a lower wage than somebody who has a specialized skill.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so, but, and because we have different facilities around the country, like there's facilities in the US as well as Canada, we're having a very hard time finding employees that will work because with the CERB, we have it CERB. I'm not sure what you guys call it, but with the government funding to to get people to just stay home, it's around minimum wage that people are getting to sit at home. So technically, I can't blame them. Why would you go to work? But in the same thing, that's CERB or whatever you guys, the government funding is going to run out. So
Hmm.
there's no way that the government can continue to, have us sitting at home and keep paying. I mean, it's going to go, government's going to go bankrupt if that's the case. But I mean, now's the time, people, to really, like you said, enhance your skill. there's so many different things out there right now to help people to advance their skills, to advance their knowledge. And, maybe not everybody's cut out to be an entrepreneur like you and I,
Mhm.
Carl, but there's, there's got to, I don't know. I think there's more to life than just working 9 to 5. And, the 9 to 5 is great and it's paying the bills and stuff like that. But it's also helping me advance my life to a point where, um, to help other people. For me, it's more about, well, how many more people can I help? I guess, and that's one of the reasons why I decided to start the show, was because I have met so many great people, but I want to help showcase what they're doing for other people. And we've all gone through our crap, whether it's abuse, like you said, or addictions and depressions and things like that. And some people go, well, I really haven't overcome a lot like you have. And I'm like, yeah, but there's something that you've overcome. There's something that in your life that you've overcome, whether it be small or little, and you're helping that to help others. And if we would all just help everybody instead of just being all about number one, about themselves, I think the world would be definitely a better place as well.
It definitely be a better place, and the kind of top on a couple of things that you said. The dynamic is changing, and I think so. When you hear, and it's politically wise, it really doesn't matter. I don't look at things as political. I look at things as what's going on in getting in the grassroots of things. When you start to understand and talk to people, because everything's not like black and white. I've talked to some that said, "Well, yes, that doesn't what the government giving me don't even. It's not even a dent. No, not even a scratch into the
Right.
bills and things that I have to pay." And then you have some that's like they hang and need that, else they wouldn't make it. So the bridges of divides are so much, and this is where I kind of get like really. Here we are, the U.S., one of the most financially sound, or if not by actual finance, by actually being known around the world, is one of the greatest places to have an opportunity to build wealth and obtain wealth. And here we have people that have get to certain spots there. And we can just go in any of these inner cities. You can just pick one. We have people sleeping in the subways. We have people homeless shelters that has no more rooms. We have babies on the streets with families. Now, however they got there, into whatever the situation may be, here we are, a nation that has the money tied up in the 1% or 5% or whatever number you use. It's up at the top and it's not trickling down. And at some point in time, that where we have to make changes at, not so much as political, not so much as left side of the aisle, right side of the aisle, black, white. The issues are becoming that there are humans that are suffering and they're not being taken care of. And you say to yourself, no, can I make a difference? That's the reason I started my show. And I think I told you that when you first came on. My show was to uplift people who were doing things about people. I didn't want to have someone's on the show that got 100,000 followers and they want to get on my show talking about, yo, I got this, I got that. None of my shows, I've had three now, and I'm just narrowed it down to one now, my story show. And it is about those that are enriching and impacting the lives of others one at a time, whether it's mentoring them, whether it's coaching them, whether it's lifting them up, whether it's providing an opportunity for them to better themselves. You have a lot of people here to do that. Tim is one that's taught me some things with the media and streaming and live streams and those kind of things. Now I'm teaching other people, and I'm not charging people. I'm teaching other people so they can bring on shows that we're on the same common ground. And this is where I think a lot of it gets lost in the sauce with the media. And I had a fellow tell me on Clubhouse the other day, he's like, if we don't have division, then there's no money to be made. And when he said that to me, the room kind of like, went all up in uproar. But he was so on point with what he said. The money comes from the division when we have this one side against the other, one race against the other, this against the other, the rich against the poor. It's all divided, and we all see it, and we all to some extent participate in it, but no one comes with a solution to cure it. And this, we won't do it in our lifetime with what we do, but what we can do is make impact. I want to be, and I post this as a post I wrote about a year and a half ago. I want to inspire people. And I want someone to look at me and say, because of you, I didn't give up.
Mhm.
And I wrote that quote, and I always repost that every month, about every other month or so, because that reminds me of the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm not doing it for 100,000 followers. If it was 100,000 followers that I took from what I was doing, and they start doing what I'm doing to better others, I'm down for it. But it's not like that. And you raise a lot of good points in the answer that we have to now take advantage of this year and a half, where we've had time, not only to, we've had time to reflect on past actions, past decisions, past mistakes we've made. How many people has taken the time to do that? We've had time to reevaluate ourselves, where we are, careers, education. How many people has taken the time to do that? So this time that everybody has from since the pandemic began, tried to push forward the end. And it's a journey in between that's being taken. And it's only a few people that are developing themselves in that journey. A lot of people is just waiting to take the mask off. I'm just waiting till it's over. I'm just waiting. Well, what did you learn when you was in it? What did it teach you? What did it show you about yourself? And those are the things that I strive to let people see them their own selves and say, because it's all about what you see. You got to take an inventory of yourself, and when you take that inventory, if you don't like what you see, change it.
I love that. I'm writing these
Yeah.
things down because I have questions, but I just want to go to the
Yes.
comments here. Mr. Carl Sullivan says a great interview must be the name or the beard. If
Could
anybody
be
just
both, Carl.
oh really? Oh my gosh, you have to
Yes.
go check out his YouTube channel, Carl's
Yes.
Bearded Banner. Oh my gosh,
Yes. I
he's
see
blowing it
Carl on
up.
he is definitely. I've heard about Carl De Beer, and I love his backdrops. His backdrops is wonderful as well. I
Yeah.
love that.
And Tim says, I love the flexibility of owning my own business so that I can spend time with my family, still working on the time management.
The
I have
time
a,
management is definitely hard. It
yes,
is.
it is. The Rev overcome COVID. So grateful. He is okay,
Yes, I
and we
did.
love him. And I just have to say, I've watched Carl's over on LinkedIn a lot. Hi there to the other YouTube subscriber there. And when you had listed what had all happened to you and your family during COVID, how many deaths that you guys have had,
Yeah.
I sat here and I cried for you. I was just like,
Uh,
I prayed for peace for you guys and for strength, because I was just like floored. I was just like, this man, I don't know. I think you listed 10. I didn't really go back in, but I
yeah.
was just like, oh my gosh, the list was long. And I was just like, wow. And to still be out there helping others, when you're going through that,
Yeah.
is, I commend you. And I've been praying for you and your family. I just wanted to say that.
Thank you.
But it is like,
It
I can't imagine.
it has been rough. And in that same breath, I give a shout out to my man Brian Shulman. Uh, Getting in his show that Saturday morning actually was a key pivot, and just the way I started internalizing things to deal with them outwardly. And I said, okay, let's. It's sort of like when your dog come in from being wet outdoors. The first thing they want to do is just start shaking off that water, and I liken the same kind of thing. I kind of like shook my head and say, okay, you're at a point now where you're in a fork in the road. You like struggle up and just woe is me, and have a pity party of what's going on, and just getting your feelings, and sit with the blinds closed, and or you can come out on the other side, fight through this, use this as therapy, get involved with other people that is going through this, see what you can do to help, that take your mind off of those things. And not only did that do that for me, it actually was healing in some sense. Because yes, of course, the pain is there, the deaths that have happened in my family, the losses, they are eternal. I'm not going to forget those things, and they're not going to go away.
Right.
But how you live and how you progress past those points is what defines you, because we're left back here to continue living our lives, and it's how we want to live them. And I wanted to live my life, and in essence, to be a help to someone, to be there for someone, and to encourage someone. It is it is so hard to go through a lot of things that we've been through this pandemic, whether you've lost a loved one or not, whether you've lost a job, whether you've lost finances, where there has been losses. And
Mm-hmm.
when I start thinking about those, that's where that list came about. And I was like, oh my God, because it was just one thing after another, one thing after another in the course of like about a month and a half time span. And I'm like, oh my God. And I looked at it before I put it and posted it. I was like, this is a lot. And the first thing I thought about was like, oh man, somebody gonna be like, yeah, get out of here, man. That couldn't have been. But I was like, when I looked at it, I was in awe. And the first thing I said was, thank you, Lord. You gave me the strength to come to this place. And that's all I want to do is be that strength for someone else.
Right. And what you said about reevaluating ourselves and
Hmm.
healing. I don't know about you, but I have this whole entire time I've been on a journey of, okay, so I always, for the last 10 years, daily, I try to improve myself. And,
Right.
but lately it's been like a huge shift where, if in the moments I get triggered or something like that, I'm constantly thinking now, why did I get triggered? What's the root cause of that? And I make myself go back right at that
Yes.
moment. I don't wait unless, I'm in the middle of like, I got thrown an audit today about an hour before I was ready to leave work. Yay. So, you know, so, but for the most part, I'm really there engaging and healing myself and healing those past hurts. It's because hurt people, and I'm tired
Yes.
of just flying off. Now, I haven't flown off the handles for no reason in a long time because I've had that inner healing, but there still are sometimes. Okay, the biggest pet peeve in my house: pee on the seat. Oh my gosh, guys, lift the seat, pee, put it back down. End of story. End of rant. And that, I hope to God my husband doesn't decide to watch this episode. But anyways, we all have our rants and we all have our things out there. But the point of the
Absolutely.
story is, we should be taking this time to healing ourselves, educating ourselves further, and helping others. I mean, I don't know about you, but in my community, homelessness has doubled since the pandemic hit.
Oh,
Homelessness
wow.
has doubled. We have 3 or 4 teams going out there feeding the homeless daily. And
Wow.
so once in a while, I will I don't make a habit of telling people where I tithe to, but it is the
Right.
mission, the downtown mission.
That's fine.
And I also do extra things. Like if I know someone's going out and I have the extra money, I will just go throw some snacks in a thing and say, here you go. But we all do what we can do. If it's only $1 that you can afford, like a pack of spaghetti, at least it's helping somebody else too, right? And last June, we did what's called June 27th Miracle is what it was called. So our
Okay.
community had got together. Windsor's pretty big, like where I live, but we have several different communities outside. So our goal was to do a food drive, and we wanted to beat. Okay, so where I used to live in Chatham, we wanted to beat Chatham School because Chatham had I don't know, I think 200,000 pounds of food that they had
Wow.
gotten in that community. So we decided Windsor was going to beat them, and we did. We got over
Great
a
job.
million pounds of food out of the food
Wow.
drive. We had volunteers all over. My husband and I were driving all over, picking up canned goods off people's porches. We had the arena was jam packed. It took them a month to sort through everything. And it was like in the middle of right in the middle of the pandemic, right when it first started. So the pandemic hit in March, we were doing this in June. And the outpour, like even if it was only like a can of tomatoes that somebody could afford, we they had it out there. So I mean, we had
Mm.
enough. I think we still have enough food to supply our shelters with. Um,
That's great.
but it's like it doesn't. If you're sitting at home, initiate something like that, guys. Like
Yeah, because it's so many ways that you can
you'll
get
get
involved, and
yourself
there's so
better
many things you can
because
do.
if you think about
Yeah,
others, you know. Anyways, off my soapbox.
absolutely.
We'll pray for
No,
the homeless here at least.
yes, you make a good point because it's these, and the thing about it is this stuff is not new. This stuff has been going on. It's just now reaching others where it didn't before, and a lot of people has really taken a step back and say, "Yo, I am just a paycheck away from being homeless." I think people would actually hit that reality is actually hit if it had not placed them in that circumstance because of the pandemic. There, it is brought to their awareness that, once hours start diminishing, once places started closing, once you couldn't get the hours, or some people live for overtime because that kind of like that sustains them, through certain peaks and certain times of the season. Those avenues and those doors were closed, and it behooves you at some point in time. You have to make some decisions, some hard choices that have to be made.
Oh, he froze. Or am I froze? I'm sure Carl will be back. It looks like. Am I froze or is Carl froze? Um, I'm sure he'll be coming back. I should take a screenshot of that. Carl's froze. Okay, thanks, Tim. And while I'm on that subject, if anybody needs help too, please feel free to reach out, and I will do the best I can. Oops, Carl's gone now. I will do the best I can to, help somebody with no judgment, as best as I can. I mean, I don't have millions of dollars, but what I have, I do help. Yeah, when he comes back on, I'll bring him back on. But I also Carl did touch on a little bit on division. And I really wanted to talk about that because, yes, there has been a lot of division over the years. But I truly believe that this is our chance now to bring, communities back, and really just help each other get past hurts. And it really bothers me, like the whole George Floyd murder bothered me, and I couldn't even watch the video because I just knew that it would upset me so badly that I wouldn't be able to sleep. But I truly believe that the time is now for unity to come together. I don't understand why people have to do the whole definition of black or white. It's men or women, or it's just it's just, to me, there should be no division. It's just, we're all human beings. We all bleed the same. You cut us and it's red, right? So I don't understand why that division, but the time is now to change that as well. And Tim just put on here, looking forward to me being on the Tim and Jim show this Wednesday, 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. It is an honor and a privilege to be on the Jim and Tim show. And for those of you that got the invite or didn't get the invite, I will also be on Reggie Waterman's show tonight at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time doing the virtual book tour, where Tiffany Costello, I think is her name, and I will be sharing about our books. My book is The Overcomer, Facing Challenges with Faith and Courage, which you can purchase on Amazon. I said the Jim, sorry. He said, wait, did you say Jim's first name? Isn't it Jim? Jim and Tim? The Jim and Tim show? He's trying to get me back because I was trying to do, I was doing a little bit, I had my home computer at work today trying to see if I could live stream at work. And then I bring the computer home and it decided that it was going to do a humongous update. And that's why we were late. And that's why I'm only streaming to YouTube tonight. Tim and Jim. Didn't I say that? I thought I said Tim and Jim. Anyways, Tim is a jokester. And for those of you that don't know, or for those of you that do want to press into, I think Carl's back. For those of you that want to press into, there we go.
I'm sorry. I don't know what happened. It was just a surge that went through the house, and it kind of just like zapped everything. And everything went off. And I'm like, what happened? Like it went dark. My lights went out. The internet cut off. The cable cut off. And I went down to check the breaker, and nothing's tripped. And then by the time I got back upstairs from the basement, everything was booming back up. And it's no rain or nothing. It's like light and bright outside. Nice and sunny today. So, wow. All right, where were we? Sorry.
It was a divine thing. I had
Because I was
I
like,
was
I was
just
just talking. Next thing you know, it was like,
yeah.
zoop, it got dark, and I was like, whoa.
I just before we go on to what I was going to say, I just want to put in a plug for Tim.
Okay.
Tim, for we were talking about educating ourselves and advancing our skills, and for those of you that
Hmm.
want to be a live streamer, Tim has actually have put together. I just
Yes.
graduated his Survive and Rise with live video. So if he's looking for, we're starting our next one on Monday, I believe. So do not walk, run over to Tim's Facebook page and get signed up for that. He's got, or Tim, you could put the link in the comments, please, so people who are interested can go look that up and register for your course. There was one thing you had talked about earlier, Carl, and I had talked a little bit about when you were gone, but I wanted to bring it back while you were here because I
Okay.
wanted, I definitely wanted you to hear this when you were talking about, division and, and the way the world has definitely shifted. And I had mentioned, with about the whole George Floyd thing that completely wrecked my world. I know it
Yeah.
rocked a lot of people's, and I just really want to take the time right now to say, this is the 20th century. There should be no need for this shit. We are humans. We are all humans, and it should not be a black and white thing. It should just be like we all bleed the same. So what's the problem? And it really ticks me off when I hear people, make references to people's skin color and things like that. Like it gets me going. So I just pray that this is also a chance to bring unity and forget the division. Let's bring unity to the matter at hand, and let's just get rid of this crap, because I mean, seriously, it shouldn't be an issue. It just shouldn't be an issue.
We're repeating it, and it's something that's not being. My grandmother told me when I was little. She said most of the time when you run through the same circle of problems, you haven't learned from the first time.
Right.
And I never thought about that as a kid, but she said when things start repeating themselves, you're not getting the message. So you're being retaught. And something has happened in the dynamic of what we are as the United States. We have not learned the message. We haven't learned. We haven't educated ourselves on what we needed to learn. And this is repeating itself over and over again. We go we go from slavery to the 60s, and now we're here and everything in between. And the rationale that is constantly being fed, no one is understanding. And no one has got down to the understanding. And I'm very hopeful. I know my generation, and my dad and mom, they had March with King in Chicago in the 60s, the early part before he had passed when he came there. And they bust him in the head with a rock. He went to Cicero, one of the most racist cities right outside of Chicago, where it was funny that 90% of the people that worked there, Sears Roebuck headquarters was there. And everybody knows about Sears' big department store, Sears and Roebuck. And this was back in the 60s. And 95% of the workers there were blacks from Chicago. And they would bus out to the suburbs, work at Sears, and then be home back over into the Chicago line before dark. And
Right.
by how he got there, they had caught these black kids who had missed the bus from working. They had missed the bus, and some Klansmen had rode around, and they got these guys from the bus, and they lynched these guys, and that's what originally brought Martin Luther King there to Chicago to protest that. But when you look upon those things, no education has come about anything that's happened. We can even just go as far as we don't even got to go down to the 60s. We can go back just 30 years ago with oh my man, I can't even think of his name now. With the gentleman that out there in Watts, Rodney King, beaten in the streets. So who's to say what was for or whatever? That's lost in the sauce compared to what has taken place. I mean, here you see a man that's just beaten in the streets, regardless of whatever the situation may be. There's a mentality there that person is not equal to me. When you do that, or you feel it's okay to do that, even in that vast understanding of what took place, and you see that, and you have the authority to do that, even if it's somebody bullying on someone else, you can go down to that degree of it. There's something in the psyche that says that you think you're better than that person, or you have some insecurities concerning that person, that this is your way of dealing with it. And we have not gotten past that. And it's sad to see with all the educated people and all these ones that have ran for office on all kind of tickets and said he was going to do all these changes. And whether it be for any race, the human race would be nice if we just changed how we treat each other. That would really be nice. And I don't have to be a color. You put a real good stamp on it. We all bleed. If I cut you, I cut me, and I cut a Chinese, I cut an African, I cut every nationality. If I cut them when they go to the hospital emergency room, there's going to be red blood. So, and we all got the same organs. Yeah, I mean, we're just so much internally the same. Yet that pigmentation on the outside of our skin on the outside of our body that is covering us, that skin pigmentation has made so much a division and separation in how we view each other. And that's where we are now. It's just how it's viewed, how I view you. And this is what I hope what we were talking about. I hope that the pandemic has gotten to some, you still see outbursts of different things, but I hope for a majority of us have really taken some thought to what has really happened over this past year and a half, to keep us in a place of trying to understand each other, because that's really what this was. I know it's sickness, I know it's illness, I know people have passed, I know people have died, I know all of those statistics, but I think on a wave of just understanding, it has put us in a place to say, let's get back to humanity. Let's get back to caring about each other. Let's get back to loving one another. Love thy neighbor. Let's get back to that kind of thing. Even when I grew up, even though as tough it is, I had a neighborhood block that I grew up on, and all the seniors would sit on the blocks, the ones that had retired, and the kids could kind of like run and play in the streets, and they would watch over them. And like, if you got out of line, I'm gonna tell your mom when you get home. Like, we've lost that. Like, we lost it now. Everybody's so angry about something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you said, I just pray that division ends. I hope it ends in our lifetime. I really do. I really do. And I try my best to do my part. I mean,
yes.
I won't say that. I think there are bad people no matter what skin color you are. So it doesn't matter.
Absolutely.
Like, you can have white people that
Absolutely.
are complete trash.
Yes,
Same thing as, and then it's just, I don't understand it. There should be no need for it. This is like, we're more educated now than we ever have been. So there should be absolutely no reason for it. But
like my dad used to say, we so smart, we dumb. That never made sense to me as a kid. It's like, how can you be so smart, you're dumb? But now when you realize and you see how life is, the more it seems like the more educated people are in the higher places that they are established and in the essence of having rule over things, the dumber decisions they're making and the dumber things that's going on. So now it rings true to me so much when I think about him saying that as I was a little 6-year-old kid. He's like, I don't want you to be so smart, you're dumb. Don't be so. And I was like, really? How does that make sense? But now it does.
Oh, it does. It does. Thanks for coming on the show, Tim, and helping me out eventually.
Yes,
and is there any last words that you want to leave our audience with, Carl, before we go? Because we got to wrap this up. I want to honor everybody's time here.
Yes, I do apologize for the.
It's me. I was completely with my problems.
No, but I'm glad that you were able to bring me on the show and we were able to discuss the things that we have, and I truly appreciate you and what you're doing, your book and what you're doing there in Canada and helping people out and doing it from the heart. There's nothing there, no agendas, no hidden things or anything. It's just true. How you care. I've experienced that with you, talking to you and discussed with you on many occasions, different things and how you feel. And I know it's genuine from the heart. And if we could just spread this out like we've been trying to do, and if people could reciprocate it like we've been trying to do, I think we would be in a greater place. So I just say spread the love. As Tim would say, love. Spread the love.
Now more than ever.
Yes, now more than ever.
Now more than ever. And where can people reach you, Carl? I want to call you Shawn for some reason all the time. It's hard.
People do. Yeah, a lot of people do. A lot of people do. I have more people call me that than Carl, just because they're so connected together. A lot of people decide. You can reach me here on LinkedIn. I'm not on LinkedIn. Carl S Watkins one is my page. You can also go to my website, Carl Sean's with a S Daily Word.com. You go on there. You can see about my business, Carl Sean Watkins Consultant. Everything that we do there, all the services that we offer. And also, you can catch me on my show every Monday. We're doing reflections, the event, live event. We're just going through reflecting on you as an individual and how you're growing and what are you doing to change yourself. And just look me up on any of those avenues. DM me, drop a line in there. You want to have a Zoom, want to talk, strategy call. I'm your man.
Perfect. Yes. Look, Shawn, Carl Shawn Watkins up.
Sean is fine.
I'm sorry. Look, Daphne, and I just want to say thank you so much for being on my show.
Thank you
And
for having me.
we loved having you here. I love everything
Yeah.
that you're doing, and keep on keeping on, helping, especially what you're doing with the men and helping them with their vulnerability.
Vulnerability. Absolutely.
And you're helping us women out too, and I just I so appreciate you. And you're right, we just need to be doing this together, sharing the love, going out there, helping people as we go. And definitely, if you haven't already, look up Mr. Carl Shawn Watkins.
Absolutely. Love you guys. Thank you for having me so much, Dorothy. I appreciate you. I'll see you guys on the other side.
All righty, have a good night.
You too.